Hi, I'm Brent Feldman, and I am the host of Mix and Matchbox. Here with another episode today, I am joined by Autumn Jose. She's the Assistant Vice President, Brand Marketing Specialist of Civista Bank. Hi, Autumn. How are you doing?
Hi, Brent. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for being here. I have some questions that I'll just jump into. So basically, you've been with Civista Bank for now over 13 years and have grown through the ranks of marketing roles. How did you find your way into the banking world?
Well, I didn't exactly go looking for banking. Banking found me. At the time, I was working in a marketing department for a technology company, and I was really feeling burnt out, especially with the constant sales calls and trying to set appointments with my sales team. And I saw an opening in the marketing department at the bank and decided I was going to take a chance. And here we are almost 14 years later. I'm really glad I did. Over the 14 years, I've grown so much personally and professionally. And what I love most about being part of a community bank is its deep connection to people, whether it's supporting our internal teams or making an impact in the communities we serve. I get to do meaningful work every day, and that's incredibly fulfilling.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. Yeah, you've been doing some truly unique things for the bank, which is super cool. You started an ambassador program for the bank, and I think it's really interesting because you're kind of helping lift people up, within the organization to be kind of promoters of the bank. How did you come up with this?
The idea of the social stars really came from identifying a gap. We noticed on our social media engagement, it was really low, even internally from our employees. And as a bank, if you know, banks operate under strict regulations, especially when it comes to things that are being posted publicly, like social media, which can make things intimidating for employees to engage with. But we saw an opportunity, and I wanted to be a change maker and make a path for employees to be able to engage better. I created a space where Civista bankers from across our footprint who were passionate about our brand, they were social savvy, and they could step forward as ambassadors. Since launching the program back in 2023, we've seen an incredible jump in our engagement, including 189% in our Facebook engagement, and we had 149% jump in LinkedIn in that first quarter. We're now 3 years into it, and the program continues to thrive. But my favorite part is watching all the social stars shine. They're growing in confidence and creativity and really shining for the love of our brand that they represent.
That's so cool. Yeah, because it is neat to be able to sort of take people from within, each branch and, sort of give them a platform, a spotlight. Mm-hmm. And then that also helps them shine a light on the community as well. Exactly. It is so wonderful that it's driven like so much interest and engagement. What do you think make people and I think you had mentioned it at some point in an earlier conversation that we had that, people are really actively wanting to be part of this program, but what do you think it makes them, why do you think people want to participate and do more?
I think it's the authenticity and their love for the brand. Our employees want to be part of something that feels real and meaningful, and the Social Stars program gives employees a voice and a chance to be seen, not just from their job title, but for who they truly are. It goes far beyond just the bank brand. It's really into their personal brand. That recognition is really powerful. And when people feel valued, they naturally lean in more. I also think it reflects the culture of what we've built here at Civista, and we offer collaborative, supportive environment that's aligned with our core values.
That's really cool. Well, I guess, just mentioned it just a second ago, but it's not only good for the bank, but, and the employee, but it's really good for the community. And I think you've told me about all sorts of things that, get highlighted and, and things that, may have not have come to the surface, or to your, sort of point about authenticity, have come across probably more naturally, as opposed to being just like a post from, the main office of the bank and stuff saying,
Right.
look at this thing happening. But what are, some ways that you've seen it positively affect the community at large, either around, each of the branches, or, the community as a whole?
Well, you're absolutely right, because people are going to trust more what comes from a person than a brand. They're going to want to understand, what the person's experiencing versus just seeing what I may post on the back end of a logo. And when our employees share community stories or volunteer experiences and highlight local partnerships, it really shines a light on the people and places that matter most within our communities. The social stars, they amplify this impact. And we've had team members, they're posting food pantry events and engaging with financial literacy classes and celebrating community festivals and parades. And those stories create visibility for causes and encourages volunteerism within our organization. And it really fosters connections between the bank and the communities that we serve.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, I have to give some kudos right now for that program in general, because I've talked to a number of people at banks, and sometimes I'll get in conversations where they start telling me about all the incredible things that either the bank or themselves as a part of the bank are doing, and unfortunately there's so many times that those don't get surfaced. And then conversely, on the marketing side, you get marketers that are starving for content to put out on social, and so it seems like you've bridged this gap to where now marketers are happy. Now the people who are doing great work within the community are happy. So it seems like it's helped bridge it.
And that's what's really unique about our program, is because, our bank is from, northeastern Ohio all the way down to southeastern Indiana. And we had, an expansive footprint. And what might be relevant to one community might not be, people might not care what we're posting about Sandusky, Ohio when they're in Indiana. So the beauty of it is we have ambassadors from all across our footprint, and they can really tap in. They can tag our bank in their post and talk about what they're doing on behalf of the brand.
Cool. That is awesome. Well, for the people that want to be involved in Social Stars, you have talent from all across bank departments. It's not just, tellers, I guess, at the bank. It's, people everywhere. What are they learning outside of their normal roles? And do you think, that can, impact not only their, growth as people, but, their growth at the bank?
Oh, absolutely. They're gaining skills way beyond their day-to-day roles. Our social stars come from all areas of the bank. And through this program, they're learning basic skills in graphic design, content creation, and even how to use tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, and other AI technologies. Whether someone is in a commercial lender, or they might be a branch manager, these are new skills that help them think more creativity into their day-to-day and communicate more effectively with their customers, and even internally for that matter. They're not just learning, how to market our products and services. They're truly learning how to tell our story in an authentic and engaging ways that they're creating on their own. And I feel that kind of growth has a ripple effect, and it helps build confidence and encourages innovation. And it often sparks leadership potential where we might not have seen otherwise in the bank.
That's awesome. That's cool. Seems, it's hitting on all fronts. I guess it's been, successful within the bank so far. What do you have maybe planned as some of the future things for Social Stars?
Well, one of my biggest goals is truly empowering the social stars to gain that confidence to create their own authentic content. While I do provide a library of compliance approved posts that make things easier for them that they can go and access in our system that we use, what excites me the most is when they start tapping into their own creativity. Now, our tenured social stars are really good at that. And when I have a new group come in to join the team at the beginning of the year, I think they feel a little reluctant to do that. But as they grow, I see them grow as well. The other things I would like to see them do is feel more empowered to capturing video versus just standalone pictures and highlighting the amazing work that they're doing on the back end of their departments, kind of, like kind of a get to know our team. I see some of them doing that today, but I'd love to see that across the board. And also truly showing those real community connections that they're making with businesses and organizations that they're seeing day to day. And I think that's where the authenticity shows the magic and what truly brings our brand to life.
That is cool. Yeah. And I guess that is just a process that seems to be so natural for inviting leadership, translating, passing down knowledge to new people who want to join the program, and just kind of continuing it. So that's super cool. I guess as far as, this is separate from architecting the Social Stars program at Civista, but you also do or have done an internal podcast to help, I guess, recap meetings. And personally, I must say this is, I think, a great idea. We're actually just today talking about, sometimes everybody can join our, Monday calls. Sometimes people just have things, and we'll say important things every single time. We'll try to recap in Slack. But I love the idea of having this podcast to get all that information out there. But I guess where was the genesis for this idea? And and I guess, what do you see for it for the future?
Well, we started an internal podcast a couple of years ago through an internal women's focused group that we have. And the idea truly came to life when we noticed how many weren't able to make the meetings at 2:00 in the afternoon, because a lot of them were on the front line and they're serving customers. And it's really hard for those employees to step away to join these meetings. So we thought we would bring some fun recap calls with my co-lead, Sierra. She's also one of my social stars, and we would be able to share it from our perspective because we were leading those calls. Right now, we're actually in the process of revamping those. We haven't done one in quite a few months, but we want to be able to include other groups to have a broader voice and find more opportunities, maybe to find some clips out of those that we can put out onto our branded social media platforms. And maybe any social stars that are involved in any of those groups, we could pull those in as well. So there's more to come on that later, but right now we're just trying to revamp that.
That's cool. Honestly, in general, it seems like a very cool program and like a modern way of disseminating information. But, and that is definitely just indicative of podcasts, kind of more modern trend for how people get info. Do you think that format contributed to the uptake or people, sort of getting involved in it? Or do you see other media formats maybe being a way to more broadly disseminate, kind of information to either people within the bank or outside? I know during the social media part, you touched on video, but what other sort of media things do you think could be possible?
Well, I absolutely think that podcasting absolutely matters. People are consuming content so differently these days. I mean, especially even in the last 5 years, you've seen such a boom in the way we communicate. I mean, you're on the go and you might be on a commute, you may be walking your dog, and a podcast meets people where they are. And they they can do it on their own time. They don't have to tap into the meeting. So if they're already busy and that's provided, they can go in and join anytime they want. And it helps it feel more personable. There's something about hearing a colleague's voice or a leader's message directly that builds that connection. And even though it's an internal source, I still think it matters.
Yeah. Wow. Sage advice. I feel like it's really cool because it does. It's one of those things that you can put on in the background, or you could clip out and say that, hey, we talked about this the other day on the meeting, and then, put it, in an internal Slack thing, but you have that, sort of record somewhere. So anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
that's the beauty too with AI. You see, you join a Zoom call and they have those AI note takers now. And if you're a secretary, you get that, and that takes half your job, and having to fill in those gaps if you miss something when you're taking notes. So it's really cool seeing technology evolve over the years.
Absolutely. That is awesome. Well, just kudos for making some of these, bold moves, in the organization, your ways to sort of change, internal marketing practices. What do you think, maybe more or other banks can do to help make strides in their own marketing or, their kind of general approach to reaching customers?
I think banks need to learn and lean more into human-centered marketing. It's not just about the products and services the bank offers, it's about people. Whether it's internally or externally, telling authentic stories and highlighting impact and involving employees in the process builds credibility and trust. Internally, it gives employees a voice through programs like we have here at the Social Stars, or maybe an internal podcast. And externally, it shows customers the real heart behind the brand. I truly feel that being bold means being real.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, people you mentioned were, who were on the front lines, so
Yeah.
And that is, these people who are really dealing with the day-to-day. They have active and usually really good and heartfelt contributions and stuff. So it's great to be able to pick those up and highlight them more. So honestly, you had some amazing advice. I guess the only last thing to do, I assume, tell people to check out Civista Bank.
Yeah, check out Civista Bank on Civista.bank is our website URL. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy if you're a bank and want to learn more about how to build your own ambassador program. I'm happy to set some time and talk to you about what we did, and so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and share, just share tips on how, you can get buy-in with compliance and your executive management team, because it's been a fun ride, and I can't wait to see where this journey takes me and all the social stars. I thank them most of all wholeheartedly for all that they're doing for the brand. They put their heart and soul into their post and are very engaging, and I just want to give them mass kudos for all they do.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Autumn, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brent, for having me. Have a great day.
Thanks. Well, this has been another episode of Mix and Matchbox. I'm your host, Brent Feldman. We'll be back soon with more content. Please like and subscribe. Thanks.